Tonight on the Dairy X Dines podcast, we are talking about how not to react to food reviews. And the reason why I want to tackle this conversation tonight is last week there was a food review, very famous, that dropped on last Thursday, actually, that I think we need to talk about a little bit and use that as kind of a diving board into a larger conversation about, food reviews and kind of criticism in general, and how we should be taking that as business owners and as people who are trying to formulate whether they should try a restaurant. So I need to preface with I'm not a Dave Portnoy sympathizer in any fashion. I personally only talk about his pizza one bite thing because there's some cultural relevance to it. These things get tons of views. And I don't align with any values of Barstool Sports, and I don't even talk about politics here on the channel because I think it's boring. But anyway, the whole point that I want to come across with what I'm trying to do here tonight, there was a review that happened, and I think both sides kind of took the wrong way to go about it, and I want to talk about it because I hope I never encounter an owner or any kind of situation where this happens. So last Thursday, Dragon Pizza, Somerville, Massachusetts, Dave Portnoy posted a review. In the title, he wrote "the worst pizza in America." In the thumbnail, it was him giving the owner the finger. The owner decided to pop out during the review. Now, I don't want to, this guy doesn't need me to refer you to his video. The video already has 1 million views. So obviously it went viral after it happened. With a title like that, with a thumbnail like that, of course it's going to go viral. But here's what happens in the course of the review. So Dave gets his pizza. He comes out. He eats right in front of the place, which is, it's operative for what happened here, because part of that is the reason why it escalated the way that it did. He gave the pizza a pretty low score, one of his lowest scores in a while. And while he was rating the pizza, the owner came out and basically said to him something to the effect of, enjoy your pizza as a customer, but I don't appreciate what you do, judging food on one bite. And, Dave tried to pull him in for a conversation and kind of, say we do a little bit more than that. And the guy really didn't want to hear it and just basically called him a clown and all this stuff and went back inside. Dave's stewing over what happened, and the owner decides to come back out and engage even further and basically say, oh, it's you're a clown and this and this and this. And, I don't appreciate what you do. And Dave basically says, hey, I help small businesses. I've raised this kind of money and all this stuff, and I don't think that you can argue that he hasn't. I also don't think it's as altruistic as it comes across because, this guy's even putting together this one bite pizza festival, down in New York City, charging a lot of money for tickets for this thing. I don't know if it's happened already or it's happening, but, of course, yes, he has raised money for small businesses, has saved businesses and whatever it is, but he's also made a lot of money off of the platform, which is what the guy basically says. The guy doesn't go into any specifics about what he dislikes about what Dave does and whatever it is. And, I guess I can understand, you don't want to get into exactly what was in the New York Times article and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not going to get into it here. He's a disgusting person and it is what it is. But for the purpose of bringing awareness to someplace, I don't see what the owner had to gain if he wasn't going to confront him about something specific. So the owner decided to basically say, I'm taking a stand against this now. And, I don't like people rating my stuff and whatever it is. And this is kind of why I wanted to use it as a springboard to talk about, what I'm doing here on the channel, how it applies to me, and kind of, how it was handled wrong there. It right away escalated to, Dave lifting his middle finger in a really awkward way. And even on social media, it even got to the point, if you clicked into the thumbnail, that picture, that drawing, it's like a cartoon on a pizza delivery check where the owner drew himself giving Dave Portnoy the finger and, and posted that to his Instagram. Now, if you look at Dragon Pizza's Instagram, it's really comical what happened there, and it's exactly what is exactly the reason why I would say the owner reacting the way that he did was the absolute worst way to handle it. The comments have to be limited. You can see that they're at a certain point, even when the comments aren't limited, there's you can see that they had to turn it off at a certain point because um the army of Barstool was just going in there and berating and all this type of stuff. There is a flip side to it though. Apparently, and I have an article that I was reading, I think in Rolling Stone, that basically says, despite Barstool commenters' claims that he was effectively sabotaging his own business by standing up to Portnoy, Red says business has been better than ever over the past 24 hours, and at the restaurant sold out of food well before closing. I mean, that's great news. And that's I think would have happened, maybe not to that degree, but even if he didn't pop his head out and decide to confront Portnoy about what happened, I'm sure some little additional buzz would have happened. When people see a review, they get curious. They want to know, hey, I don't, this guy Portnoy, what the hell is he talking about? I mean, for example, just this past summer, I decided to revisit some of his Paisan's Pizza because it's close to work and I can easily go to it and see if my rating kind of aligns with his at all. Just because I know he doesn't know anything about pizza other than what he likes, and that's kind of another layer on top of this. As a reviewer, does it matter if you know anything or not, or is the journey kind of more important? So let's talk about food reviews in general and how businesses should respond, react, and go from there. Because another thing that I wanted to kind of incorporate into the discussion here, I think about 15 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 16, sometime around the late 2000s, locally here in the capital region of Albany, the local food critic actually got jumped in a parking lot for giving a restaurant a bad review. I mean, that is an extreme of this here. I don't think that guy would have come to blows with Dave Portnoy. I also don't think Dave Portnoy is the type of person to get physical in that capacity. I mean, to have a fight over pizza is would be, I would say, abnormal. I think he, especially with the purchase that he's going through and everything going on there, I'm sure he wouldn't want to draw that kind of attention to himself. Whereas this here, where it's like, there's really nobody was really right in the situation. It's a little bit different. So, as a restaurant, you're always under criticism. Let's say the internet didn't exist and you're in business. The best way to get people to come is to offer a good customer service experience. Even if your food is mediocre, in most cases, people are going to remember the service more than the actual food. So let's say, somebody, I would say probably 50% of the Italian restaurants here in this area probably fall into this kind of camp where, you go as a family, you get treated really nice, that the food is okay, but it's nothing special, right? You're going to go to your neighbor or you're going to talk to somebody and say, hey, I went to this Italian place. You wouldn't believe how nice the people were there. That's kind of the more charming aspect of, going out to eat and the word of mouth. And that's kind of how connections get made. Now, since let's call it the 2000s, because it did exist in the 90s, but maybe not to the degree as now. We have social media, we have Google. You can look up and you can see all the different reviews of a place. If you don't agree with the reviews on one platform, you can go to something else. You have restaurants getting popular just posting to Instagram. For example, I went to a place last week and I'm working on the video right now, Tacos Diablo. I strictly know about them because of Instagram. They're in a location I would really never even think about, to be completely honest. And they have just posted on Instagram, and people share their posts, and people talk about it. Their food looks good. You go try it. And now I'm sitting here and I really want that food right now. So word of mouth is really important in terms of that, especially now with the internet. So if you're a business and you're not embracing that side of it, you're kind of putting yourself at a disadvantage. I would say, which is part of the reason why I make the content here on the channel that I make, I would say you want people coming in and reviewing and leaving those reviews online, because that kind of hive mind mentality of, okay, I had something, here's what I thought about it. It helps a future customer kind of hone in on whether or not it's worth going to your place. And I'll give you an example. So every year we go to the Outer Banks. Most of the restaurants in the Outer Banks are not what I would say are like foodie destinations. It's a lot of food that is very middle of the road, probably, Cisco US Foods type thing. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. However, there's a lot of diamonds in the rough there. You have to do a lot of Googling, YouTube. And part of the reason why I'd like to cover the dining in the Outer Banks is because I'm finding these places that have a little bit, they're going a little bit above and beyond what they're doing and posting it to YouTube. YouTube now is an even bigger kind of thing. Back in the day, we had Food Network, Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives, and sometimes you would see restaurants on, and it would kind of shift to Kitchen Nightmares, where things were not as good of a place. So you would go there, and just out of curiosity. But what I'm saying is, now what you want is the amount of reviews to you want as many reviews of your restaurant as possible. And the reason why is because the more reviews you have, the more likely they are over time to be positive. And with more data, people look online, and then if they're weighing whether they should go to a place with 5 reviews and with 3 or 4 stars versus 3,000 reviews and 3 or 4 stars, I can guarantee you, just based on the bulk of the data, they're more likely going to make a choice to go to the one with more reviews. So that in general, you want to get those reviews, you want to get that engagement online. A man walking outside of his own restaurant while he knows somebody is filming and confronting the reviewer is the wrong, I'm going to say it right off the bat, it's the wrong kind of press. That you don't want that kind of press, because it draws the wrong attention to your staff who are just coming to work there. I mean, they're not making a lot of money. I mean, you as a small business owner, you probably can't afford to pay them a really high wage, so they're probably making close to minimum. God bless if they can make more, but you're putting them at risk. You're putting yourself at risk. I mean, I don't know what these Barstool people are capable of. My lighting just went a little haywire there. Let me turn that down. I don't know what these people are capable of. So anything can happen when you're live, by the way. If you're listening on the replay or on the podcast, my light went from nice white to yellow. I don't know how that happened. It looks like we have a couple people in the chat. I just want to give a shout out. Lefty, hello. Good to see you here, Lefty. And we have Jessica, who is complimenting the Outer Banks videos. And that's my thing too, is, I love seeing videos about anywhere. Honestly, doesn't even matter. I just like watching reviews and, kind of showcases and stuff like that. So yeah, back to this topic of online reviews. So a handful of years ago, somebody beat the crap out of the local food critic here. There was a lawsuit about it. It was heavily talked about when I was coming onto the scene as kind of a blogger back in 2010. That also, if you're the Italian restaurant, I remember the name of the restaurant. I don't remember it now, but I remember at the time just being like, I would never go to that restaurant just based on how they reacted. I mean, I don't even think he reviewed it. I think he might have just posted on Facebook. I don't know the whole facts of it, but to react that you have to send people to beat the guy up in a parking lot and in the dark, like that's just not the right way to react. You know what I mean? So in that regard, you definitely don't want that kind of press on yourself. And it looks like I got two different chat rates coming up here. Rochelle, who also was in the food blogging kind of scene at the time, and she remembers the incident. I don't think confronting a reviewer is never the right thing. And I can also say from a different perspective, my dad's store is no longer open. It was a deli down in Orange County, New York. There were times where, customers didn't have a good experience. And instead of just saying, hey, really sorry about that, here, we'll replace it for you, there were actual arguments and altercations that ended in customers being asked to leave. And that's not a nice thing to see. And I'm being 100% honest with you guys here. And I say plural. It wasn't like it happened every day or every week, but sometimes there were customers that, you can see that they were not being professional, but you got to take the high road. And I think even with regards to just Dave Portnoy standing outside of this guy's restaurant, even if you hate Dave Portnoy, just let the guy take a bite of your pizza and move on. You don't have to confront him. And I'm not like I said at the beginning of this, I'm not saying it as a sympathizer of Dave Portnoy because I could care less for the guy. Honestly, the most I feel for him is that he gives me this fodder for these topics, because sometimes coming up with a topic for a podcast is a little bit difficult. But it just wasn't the right thing to do to confront him. Now, it's great and everything that he's selling out, but in that same article, he gets asked from the this was a Rolling Stone article that dropped over the weekend. Nonetheless, Red says that he does not regret confronting Portnoy, nor does he regret goading him on social media prior to the review coming out. Did David regret throwing a stone at Goliath? No, he says. It created complications in my life I've been unhappy to deal with, but I did something to stand up to something I disagree with, and that's the American way. And I could definitely see wanting to do that. But on a scale of 1 million views, was that really the right thing to do? I don't know. I think if you're a business owner and somebody's coming to review your food, don't alienate a customer, because any customer can envision that be happening to them. I, for one, will never go to Dragon Pizza in Somerville, and it's not because I don't support local businesses. And I think the topic of pizza is inflated a little bit. Dave Portnoy does something for the pizza industry. I don't think even at that scale, I don't think it moves the needle in a positive or negative direction. I think people are going to love pizza whether or not Dave Portnoy is reviewing it, personally. So I think that level of self-importance being put on his reviews is maybe a little bit inflated. So I don't agree with that. But in terms of just restaurants in general, the more data that's out there, the more you're going to see customers voting with their wallets. What I'm trying to do here on my channel is, I also don't know everything, and I will tell you when I don't know something. It's really just trying to experience things and document my experiences. I need to take a sip of water, excuse me. A lot of times when I come up with concepts for videos, the food is supposed to be a character in what I'm doing. So there's me, and I'm going to the place and I'm trying the food. The hard part for me right now is with my current level of production, I've been kind of in this kind of groove of making videos where I'm getting a little bit more intimate with the people who own the restaurants. And it may create the illusion or perception that I feel like I can't give a negative review. I personally will always give feedback, and even on this Tacos Diablo video, where the owner even offered to cover my meal, and I ordered, I think, over $40 worth of stuff. And I said, no, the whole idea is if I'm going to come to these places, that I'm going to be paying for the food, because I want it to be an honest reflection of what I'm experiencing. Now, if it's a local restaurant, am I going to come outright and just say this is total garbage? No, that's not productive for anybody. Does it mean that I won't leave a negative review? Also, no. An example I'll give on that, and I have a little side story to tell about this one. Late last year, I did a video going back to the takeout restaurant that I used to go to in college, where they have these wontons in hot oil that I used to love, and I used to go there 2-3 times a week. So I went and I did my usual, document. I go to the place, pick up the food, bring it back here. I think I actually did the review right in this spot here, which I was testing out kind of, anyway. That's another side story. I get into the food, completely different than what I remember. Like not even close to tasting the same. Quality not even close to the same. So it was disappointing, and you guys get to see me experience that disappointment. Now, knowing I was on camera, I had to walk a tightrope of stay genuine. Don't like outright bash the restaurant, but you provide some kind of entertainment so that it's a YouTube video still. So you can see, I'm sure, if you know me well enough, and a lot of you guys have seen a lot of these videos, you can see the disappointment on my face, and you can also see me trying to sugarcoat it a little bit, just because even a Chinese restaurant in a strip mall, they're owned by people. There's people who work there, and my goal here is not to just like say don't ever go to that place. Whatever. They could have a lot of legitimate reasons why they changed the wontons, changed recipes. For example, if they bought if it's under new ownership and they bought the restaurant, maybe they don't have access to the original recipes. Maybe they don't have access to the original chef. So I don't want to come across as heartless. But it's data. And, I also try to, when I review a place, I'm a little bit behind on it now, but I got to catch back up. Go onto Google Maps and, take images that I've taken through the review that I've done for YouTube. Sometimes I'll even link to the YouTube within the Google review, but I try to also give the review there as well. And not just to say, hey, I reviewed your restaurant, more to tell customers, hey, this is what I experienced. This is what you need to look out for, and what was good there. Sometimes I've had restaurants actually reach out to me and say, hey, this is what we're doing. We really want you to come in and try stuff. And I have to kind of put those types of projects at bay a little bit, because I'm walking a balance of going to the places for content, and that kind of sounds more like an advertisement. I don't want my content to come across as an advertisement for a restaurant. There have been a couple of examples where I feel like it might have felt that way, and I don't feel great about those. But throughout it all, I'm still honest. So when you see my videos that have owners in it, I always kind of give them a chance to talk about what they're doing. An example I have from earlier this year was La Capital Tacos. I had such a good experience in the review that I did last year, takeout in my backyard here, that I wanted to actually showcase a little bit what they're doing in the kitchen in Troy. So I reached out on Instagram to the owner, Yair, who we arranged a time that I can go in there and kind of see what they're doing. He wanted to show me a tortilla machine that I showcased in the video pretty heavily. I got to sit outside in a geodesic dome in the middle of winter, nice heated little dome, and eat and react to the food, which I thought was a really fun video. And in between there, I've been playing a little bit of catch up. I think I have something like between Outer Banks, California, and Philadelphia, I have something like 20 projects that are currently being worked on. So it's hard to keep up with all that. And by the way, if you're still in the stream here, hit the like button so it helps it go out to more people. In between all that, I've also worked on a couple projects where I call them kind of bigger videos. So like Moretz was like a really big video. I think I've spent a number of hours just even in the edit for that one. For Moretz, we had gone a couple weeks before my birthday. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do on my birthday. I always like to do something nice and big for my birthday, and doing a video. I think last year I recorded 3 videos on my birthday and a couple of shorts, and it was a lot of work. This year I was kind of on the fence of whether I should do that or not, but once I tried Moretz, I was like, all right, this is what I have to do on my birthday. And you know, it was just a much bigger video, and I think even the owners kind of were excited to be a part of being in the video, which I thought was cool too, because I also intended to talk to Rachel, who was the waitress, but they were very busy, and actually that was because they were busier than usual because Dave Portnoy was there the day before I was, so there was a lot of buzz about the place. There's that, and then there's the Tacos Diablo video, which is another place where I reached out on Instagram and said, hey, I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna order all the food, you know, but I kind of want to get an idea what you guys are doing to make the video a little bit more interesting. So those are, I would say, the bigger projects. I think just in terms of the mechanics of the video, it's a little bit more engaging, I guess is the right word, to actually be able to film a little bit more behind the scenes and show you what's going on. Now, do I deserve that level of access at a restaurant? Absolutely not. If a restaurant is willing to give me that level of access, the least that I could do is actually showcase it a little bit. And it looks like Rochelle in the chat here, constructive criticism. Asked by the owners what I think. I try to be as honest as possible, but also try to be considerate because my expectations might not be the same as the regulars. And I think that's fair. I think that's kind of where I'm coming at it too. Something I think about is a lot of the videos during the pandemic that I did here were more takeout oriented. And takeout videos are a little bit easier for me to do because it doesn't entail sitting down in a restaurant and actually reacting live in person. I've said this before, either on live streams or in videos. I don't want to be the type of YouTuber who has to like section off a part of a restaurant just to be able to react live to stuff there. I don't want to disrupt other diners around me. So I have kind of 2 different buckets that I'll do. I'll do the videos where I'm doing that, and I'll go when I know they're not busy. So that's number 1. And then the other way, I'll do the B-roll while I'm having the meal, and I'll film the reaction here in what I call the Dairy X Dine studio. So you'll see those 2 types of videos, and I think that gives a good balance. But I think the bigger video format where I'm on location, I think is just an interesting thing to somebody who doesn't know who I am. And I think being on YouTube, the most important aspect to growing is making a video if somebody who doesn't know who I am stumbles upon it, the more potential for growth is if that person likes it, then it'll go out farther. The diehards like Jessica and Rochelle here in the chat are, you know, you guys watching it, it's almost like, I don't want to say guaranteed because nothing's guaranteed, and I totally value your guys' time. But since you guys are familiar with me, you're more likely to come into the content and watch it, regardless of whether the first 10 seconds are moving, you know, with transitions and sounds and all that stuff, you know, because you're here for me less. You're here for me more than you are about the actual food, because you want to hear what I have to say, which brings me full circle back to reviews. I don't want to come out and say I'm an influencer because I think I don't know if I like that word a lot, but you know, anybody who's a customer in your place, you don't know who they are, you don't know who they know. So if you're a restaurant owner, you need to embrace the reviews. We're now in the 2020s. People are online. People are talking. Most restaurants are on Instagram. Most restaurants have websites. Most restaurant websites look like crap, but I digress. With all of that said, you have to embrace what you have. You're going to get more, and I'm going to come right out and say this. You're going to get a higher quality customer from Instagram or from YouTube reviews than you ever would from a coupon clipper magazine. And you're going to pay far more in advertising for those coupon clippers. And you're going to pay almost nothing for Instagram. You create an Instagram account, you take a quick picture video of what you're doing. It really doesn't take much to connect with a pretty large audience. And by having somebody come in who is savvy with social media, and I don't want to, I'm pretty sure this Dragon Pizza guy didn't want to have to owe Dave Portnoy anything, which is why he tried to kick him off his doorstep. But you have access to for the One Bite Pizza channel. They're coming up to 1 million subscribers. Okay, and their videos reach far more than that. You're getting instant advertising from a whole pool of people that probably didn't even know you existed until that video came out. So embrace the online. You didn't have to pay a penny for the advertising. Confronting him was, the way Portnoy reacted, the way he reacted, it was not the right thing. And you got to get with the times. The online is here. You want more data. You want it to get out to more people. Take the free advertising, because the amount of reach that people can get on these social media platforms. I don't know. It looks like I have maybe 4 people currently live in the stream here. I know over the weekend, when people catch up on these things, for me, it's dozens of people, which I'm kind of, I'm saying a little bit in jest, just because, I'm just some fat guy in upstate New York who's making videos here. So every little view that I get here is important, and I value the time. But even that, I'm not getting hundreds of thousands of views, but the people who are here might be in the area. They might try to go to something. You might see, hey, he talked about DeFazio's Pizza. DeFazio's Pizza is participating in that One Bite Pizza thing. Aren't they? Isn't Portnoy a jerk for doing that? What's the deal with DeFazio's? Why are they participating in something this jerk's doing? And it kind of makes you think about that type of stuff. But all of these are data points that help people to tailor their experiences. And that's kind of what I want to do here, is create the discussion, create the space, be kind of involved, and enjoy the discussion with everybody, which is why I love doing the live podcast here, because it allows me in real time to kind of react to your comments as well. I want to talk about the side note. So on that video that I posted with the fried wontons, I had ordered fried wontons in hot oil and steamed chicken with broccoli. At the time that I recorded that, I was dealing with a medical diagnosis where I had to have a very specific diet. The wontons were kind of a little bit outside of what it was, and nothing to worry about. I'm good. But I got a comment on it just yesterday where somebody commented and said, Chinese people would never order this food. Wontons are not Chinese, and steamed and chicken with broccoli isn't. They don't even have broccoli in China. So I had to respond to that comment. I didn't really understand where it was coming from, and I didn't want to come across as defensive, but I did want to understand a little bit from the person what they were trying to get at, because it wasn't. I know I didn't say those are authentic Chinese things, but I wanted to just make sure that I didn't come across as thinking that in the video, because I mean, just because we call them Chinese restaurants here in America, most Chinese restaurants are serving American Chinese food. I think that's kind of a given. Maybe I take that for granted. So this person left that comment, and I said, I hope I didn't imply that. And they said no. And then they went back and forth with me a little bit, which had me a little bit worried that maybe I was saying the wrong thing in the video. But I thought I had taken a screenshot of it. I guess I didn't. But I was so confused. And in the end of it, the person said, I just want you to know that that's not authentic Chinese. I'm Chinese. Because, and I had said, you know, I think you're overgeneralizing a little. I actually work with a lot of Chinese-born Chinese people who eat at Chinese takeout all the time. I've actually eaten at Chinese buffets with these people, and they love American Chinese food. I don't think it matters that wontons and chicken with broccoli are not authentic Chinese. It wasn't really relevant to the conversation. I didn't get it. And then the person said, I'm not trying to be a troll, and I'm not trying to I'm not criticizing your video. I just need you to know that those are not Chinese. And at that point, it's like, okay, you know, it was more about the commenter being right than, you know, getting value out of the comment. But with that, I don't take offense. You know, if you wanna leave that kind of comment, that's fine. I just want to understand, you know, make sure that I'm not creating the wrong impression. You know, because in 100 years, I would never tell you a fried wonton is an authentic Chinese food. For all I know, I've never been to China. For all I know, that there's a specific segment of China that they make that, and that might be the most authentic thing on the Chinese menu. But I don't know that. I just know what they serve here in America. And it looks like, as I see the comments come in here, Jessica saying here, worked at University Kitchen for a while. All my student workers were from China. They loved American Chinese food. They were clear they didn't eat that stuff at home. And that's exactly the type of feedback I was giving too. So that's where I didn't get. So many of those dishes were made to appeal to the clientele. I had Chinese food in Italy, and holy hell was it delicious. It's really funny you say that. So there's a Bruce Lee movie, obviously made in the early 70s, called Way of the Dragon, Return of the Dragon. It's not Enter the Dragon. It's another one where he actually goes to Rome and he eats Chinese food, and the food there looks so good, but it looks different. It's the same type of, at the time it was more sit-down restaurants for Chinese food, but it looks just like what we have here. But like it looks so good, and that's what, 50 years ago now. Unbelievable. But back to my original topic, and just to put kind of a button on this and kind of send it off into the sunset. Online reviews are here to stay. Use online reviews to your advantage. If you see a place that has 5 stars and 5,000 reviews, you know it's going to be good. Yeah, and if you go through the reviews and you go through the Instagram and you see the same thing over and over and over, people talking about the same thing, you know those are going to be good. If you're a business owner, embrace those types of things. That is going to be where your business is going to grow. You know, you absolutely do not want to leave money on the table. And that's really all I have to say about that. Everybody, thank you so much for joining. Rochelle, Jessica, everybody else in the live chat. Thanks so much for watching. If you're watching this on the replay, I'll leave some links on the screen that you can click into right now. And other than that, have an amazing weekend, and we'll talk to you in the next one.